Hi everyone, Cheryl here. I'm back with the second part of my tutorial. So this part of the tutorial, we're going to cover how to do the waterfall. So if any of you guys don't remember, need a refresher, or just didn't see exactly what I'm talking about the waterfall that I used in the last mini album that I did, which was for the Scrapping Queens of 2013 YouTube Hop. So that one is, let's see, right here. So let's see if I can get this all in frame. So it's the one that opens up like this. And one more. There's another one. Here's one. One more. And then there's the last one, okay? So it opens up. Very nice spread. You have a chance to put 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 photos possibly. Definitely enough space to do some journaling. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. What I did was I cut out all of my pieces, scored them, folded most of them, and then I've also labeled them just to make it easier for you guys to see and know exactly what my measurements are. So now this right here is a 6x6. Now this is the base page. This is what the sizes of my pages are. So obviously you won't have to cut this out. I'm just showing you this so that you know the size of my base page is 6x6, okay? So that's what I'm actually going to be gluing everything down to. But you guys will already have this page, so you don't have to worry about cutting this out, okay? The next thing that you're going to need, these are going to be your waterfall flaps, okay? So you're going to need one piece that is 3.5. Oh, let's see, what are my measurements? I believe 3.5 by 5.5. Let me just double check and make sure. Yeah, 3.5 by 5.5. Okay, and what you're going to do is on the 3.5 side, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch. Okay, so 3.5 by 5.5. Score at 1/2 of an inch on the 3.5 inch side. You're going to taper those edges, reinforce your score mark, and round the other side, okay? You're going to do this with all of the pieces of the waterfall, all right? So again, 3.5 by 5.5. You're going to score at 1/2 of an inch on the 3.5 side. Taper your edges so that when you fold them and place them down, it'll be nice and neat and it won't be too bulky. And then you're going to round the edges of the other side. Now this part is optional. You do not have to round the edges. I just rounded them because I liked the way it looked, okay? Then the next piece you're going to need is going to be 4 by 5.5 on the 4-inch side. Again, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch. Taper your edges and round the other side of the edges, okay? 4 by 5.5, 1/2 of an inch. You score it. You're going to taper the edges and then round the other side. The next one is going to be 4.5 by 5.5, okay? 4.5 by 5.5. On the 4.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch. You will taper your edges and round the other side, okay? The next one is going to be 5 by 5.5. Again, on the 5-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch and round the other side, okay? Next one you're going to need is 5.5 by 5.5, okay? And then you, on the 5.5 inch side, obviously it doesn't matter because this one is 5.5 inch square. You're going to score at 1/2 of an inch, taper those edges on the one side, and then round them on the other side. And then the last one that you're going to need is going to be 6 by 5.5, okay? And what you're going to do is on the 6-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch, okay? Taper those edges and then round them, all right? So once you have all of those, what I usually do is after I've reinforced my score marks, taper the edges and round the other ones, I usually just line them up like this. And if you notice, they all should pretty much look like this once they're folded, okay? Because when they are all folded over, once you put them all together folded over, you won't be able to see that, okay? Obviously, it'll be a little bit of a bulk, but not enough for you to be able to tell, okay? Now, the next thing you're going to need is you are going to need a piece of paper or cut another piece that is 3 1/15 by 5.5. This is what you're actually going to glue the flaps to, okay? So again, 3 1/15 by 5.5, okay? Then for the inside pieces. Let me show you what I'm talking about when I say inside pieces. Let's see if I can get you guys to see it. Okay, this piece right here on the inside, because you are gluing your flaps down, you'll be able to see the little flap where you glue it. I was going to use pattern paper, but I couldn't find a pattern paper that I like to put in between each and every single one of them. So what I did was I just cut cardstock exactly the same color. So because black was my base, I just cut some strips of black cardstock. Now, this part is totally up to you guys. You can decide if you want to use a colored, a piece of the pattern paper from whatever collection you're using, or you can use the same color of cardstock that you've been using in order to make the waterfall pages. Now for that piece, you are going to need, I believe it's 5 of them. Let me count them up one more time. Sorry guys. I think I cut out 6, but I believe it's only 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 5, because even though I put one here for 6, you cover it up so you can't even really tell. So you'll need 5, okay? So 5 strips, and the strips will measure 3/8 of an inch by 5 3/8. Okay, so you'll need 5 of these. And then for the very last piece, you're going to need a piece that measures 3 by 5 1/2. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to do is, oh, forgot to get my ATG gun. Give me 1 second. Okay, what you're going to do is you are going to place some ATG tape on your flap, okay? Whichever way you decide to place it down is fine, but you definitely need to place some ATG on the flap, okay? Now, your piece that measures 3 1/15 by 5 1/2, that's the piece that you're going to glue all of these flaps onto, okay? So, let's see, I will start with, probably need to start with the smallest piece because that's the one that usually gives me the most trouble. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, okay? And I'm going to place some ATG tape down. And then I am going to place that down as close to the edge as possible and make sure that this is also even. Okay, so I know that you guys cannot see me too well. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to center this. Okay. So, you guys can tell, and I'm using different color paper just so you guys can see it and it shows up a little better. Okay, so there's a little bit of an edge down. I don't know if you guys can actually see that or not, but just a little bit, okay? And so what you do is I usually, once I put this down, I usually just go ahead and smooth it out, okay? Then you're going to take your largest piece, which is the one that's 6 by 5 1/2. And you're going to go ahead and place some HED tape right there on the flap. And then you're going to take that one and bump that one up against the very top, but also make sure that it lines up down here at the very bottom. Okay? So, let me go ahead and do that one. Normally, well, in the past, the last one that I did, I used the, I started out with the piece at the top and then did the piece at the bottom. But for some reason, the first time I tried to record this video, it did not work out too well for me. So I'm doing it opposite and see how that works. So all I'm doing is I took this piece here. I've lined it up with the first flap, which is the 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. I'm lining it up at the bottom and making sure that it's nice and even all the way across. Okay? And I'm holding that kind of firm. I fold my flap and then just press down. Okay? So, you should have something that looks like this once you guys are done, okay? All right, so now you can actually go ahead and start doing the other ones. The reason why I do the top and then the bottom is so that you know exactly how much space you have to work with in between. If you just start gluing them down in order, like the 6 and then the 5.5 and so on and so forth, I was afraid that I might not be centered and I might not have this, you know, in the proper, or not even necessarily proper. I was just afraid it was going to be crooked or I would run out of room. So by gluing the first and the last one down first and then putting the ones in between, to me it just worked out better that way for me. If you guys are able to make it work the other way by going in order, by all means, go right ahead. This is, you know, just what worked for me. So I'm actually just going to reinforce this fold right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started with the other ones. So I'm actually going to, next up, I'm going to glue the one that's the 5.5, okay? So I'm just going to place some ATG tape here. In 1 second. Okay. And again, what you're going to do is you are going to line it up with the other one. I hope you guys can see that. Okay. So all I'm doing is just lining this up. Okay. End to end. And then keeping a firm grip on it because I don't want it to move. I just fold the flap down at the top and then just kind of press down, but still making sure that I'm nice and even down at the bottom, okay? That may be just slightly tricky, but if you can press one side down, you should be able to press the other side down, okay? And then there you go. All right, and I usually, like I said, just press that down again, reinforce with the bone folder, and then, again, if you look, you're none the wiser until you start opening up flaps, okay? So now we're going to go with the one that's the 5. And again, put some ATG on the flap. Okay. Hold on 1 second. My ATG gun is acting a little wonky because of this tape. Okay. All right. Now, going to line this one up as well. Just make sure that it's nice and even. And I know it's kind of hard to see because the colors are exactly the same, but if you guys follow this along perfectly as you start to do it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about and it should be okay. Okay, so again, I'm just lining it up down at the bottom and making sure that I have a nice good grip on it. Fold the flap down and then press down. Okay, that's it. And here's one more. And just reinforce. Okay, now I'm going to do the one that's the 4.5. Okay, and I hope I'm not getting out of frame, guys. Okay, so again, just line it up here and here. Okay, now I'll fold this down, make sure it's lined up again, and then just press down. Okay, reinforce my folds. Okay, and then here's the last one that we have to do, which is the 4 by 5.5. Okay. And so for this one, again, just lining it up. And then just press down. And then reinforce your score marks. And then all I do after that, because it kind of pops up like this once you have it, you know, like that, all I did was I just kind of took my bone folder and just kind of reinforced those fold marks. Okay, even though it's still going to pop up, it's, you know, okay. So then essentially it opens up like this and then like this. Oh, this one is a little bit crooked. Let's see. It's just the first one that's crooked. So let me go ahead and fix that one. And this is what I'm talking about. When you put this on here, sometimes you have to make sure that they're even, because when I tell you that it will get crooked in a heartbeat. So, okay, let me take this one off. And I promise you guys, this is normal. The last two that I did for the album, I had to take them off a little bit also as well, just because I screw something up on every project, usually 2 or 3 times, different things. So that's just me. That's just one of my quirks. Okay, so let's see if that's better. Yep, that's better. Okay, so, and by it being ATG tape, even though you reinforce those folds, it takes a minute to set, so you should still be able to lift it up, and it shouldn't be a problem. Or you can wait until you have all of them down and then put that on there. So that's totally up to you guys. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and adhere, sorry about that, I'm going to adhere the strips right here to cover up the flaps and then the miter corners. So you guys see what I'm talking about when I say you need to cover this piece up right here. So you can, again, like I said, cover this piece up either with pattern paper or with the same color paper that you use for your base pages. Okay, so in my case, for the mini album that I did, I used black cardstock to cover it up, and it looked just fine. I actually really liked the way it looked just using black. Okay, so all I did was put some ATG tape, sorry, getting tongue-tied, on these strips, and I'm just going to place them down. I'm just going to center them just a little bit. They're not completely even with the edges, so there is about 1/8 of an inch all the way around that they're short. So you just place it down, and then go on to the next one. Okay, so one more. We'll put this one down. Now, keep in mind, because your cardstock is going to be exactly the same color, it will blend in seamlessly. So even though you'll have a little bit peeking through here and here, it's going to be the same color, or pattern paper, I should say, to the point where it won't make a difference. And the reason why I left almost like 1/8 of an inch, it's not even quite 1/4 of an inch all the way around, is because I wasn't sure if I was going to use pattern paper or if I was going to use plain cardstock, because originally I wanted to use pattern paper, so I wanted a nice border of the black cardstock to go around it. Okay, so that's the reason why you see the space. And again, if you guys don't want that border, you want it to be even, you don't have to keep these same measurements that I used, but I just thought it looked really nice with a little piece, you know, of the paper sticking out because it was seamless. Okay, so let's get another one. Okay, here's this one. Okay, and then we'll do this last one here, and then we'll adhere everything down. Okay. Alrighty. So here's this one. Okay, so now what I did is I actually used score tape to adhere this piece down to the to my base page, because I didn't want it lifting up. And then also remember, when I did my pages, I had ribbon to hold mine together. Okay, so to keep it tied up. So what I did was I put the score tape down on the back first, then I placed the ribbon down, and then I put some more score tape with the ribbon to make sure that it stayed in place without a problem or anything like that. And then I glued it down, and it was fine. For the purpose of this tutorial, because I'm not tying it down, it's just a tutorial, I'm actually just going to go ahead and use my ATG tape, okay? So you can go ahead and glue this down. If you guys want to use magnets, I think magnets would be really cool to kind of keep this closed when you are putting that on your base page. Because again, this is measured out for a base page that's 6 by 6. So you have a very nice border all the way around. Okay, so remember when you put this on there, if you are using a magnet, before you match your pages, remember you're going to have to put a magnet here and then a magnet here on this back piece as well, okay? And then also if you're using ribbon, before you glue this piece down, remember you need to incorporate your ribbon as well, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and place my ATG tape here, and then I'll also show you where to put this piece right here, okay? All right, so give me one moment. Okay, so all you need to do is line this up and make it so that it's centered. And all I'm doing is keeping my finger kind of keeping it elevated up so that it doesn't stick all the way down. Okay, so you can look at the bottom and eyeball it, look at the top and eyeball it, or I know some people, they actually use tick marks to make sure that they get it exactly where they want it. By all means, you can do that too. I usually just eyeball it just to see. Okay, and so all I'm doing is sticking this down. And all I did was I used my bone folder to reinforce that in between each one. Okay. And you are almost done. We just have to glue that last piece on there and we are good. So this piece, all I did was I kind of lined this up and made sure this was even. I left a little bit of a border piece right here in the middle, if you guys can see that. Just a little bit of a piece. And then I put this right there. Now, I probably could have figured out how to put this on here, but again, this was just the way that I did it and it worked out for me. So by all means, if you guys want to go ahead and create another flap, seeing as how this one was 3.5, you can make one that's 3. Actually, it'll probably wind up being like 2 3/4. I don't think it'll be 2.5 because you don't have that much of a border piece, but this one worked out for me, and I think it turned out really well just the way that it looks. So for this piece, because it's 3 by 5.5, you're going to round the edges on one side, leave the other edge straight, and then go ahead and apply your ATG tape and stick it down. So give me one moment while I do that, and then you guys are done. Okay, just don't forget before you apply the flaps down, not the flaps, but once you have the flaps onto the piece, all onto this piece of paper right here, just don't forget that if you do want to incorporate ribbon or magnets or anything like that, that you do that before you adhere down to your base page. Because typically once your base page is down, it's really, really hard to be able to lift it up and then put in the changes that you want. And I just didn't want the waterfall page to be kind of like flapping all about. I wanted to make sure that it stayed put. And I thought, you know, when you tie ribbon around something and people have to untie it, it's a very, very nice surprise. Especially when they think it's really just one page or, you know, just enough room for one picture. Okay, so all I'm doing is, I'm going to lift this up so you guys can see. And I am just trying to eyeball this. Like I said, I'm leaving just a wee bit of space. And then there you can see the border down there. Just a little bit of space here. And then stick it down. Okay. I'm just going to reinforce that. And then there you have it. Here is the waterfall. Okay. So it opens up like this. And then like this. You guys can see. And then like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. And then that's it. So you guys have tons of room for pictures as well as journaling. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this has answered all of your questions about how to do this waterfall page. If you guys still have questions, be sure to either just leave a comment below, or you can send me a message, a private message, and I'll be sure to get back to you guys as soon as I can. So thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.